Tonight, the Mounties take the reins in the Ford government's controversial Greenbelt land swap deal.
The rot starts at the top. The premier needs to be held accountable.
The provincial police passed the decision to investigate onto the RCMP. We're tracking the local, even national reaction. The ongoing scandal picked up today.
We're out here because we're mourning the loss of a deep friend.
Plus, tears for transit. Advocates stage a mock funeral in Scarborough following the ongoing shutdown of the LRT after a derailment in July.
To have this come down around dinner time was a pretty welcome surprise, I think, for a lot of Leafs Nation.
And top dollar for a top goal scorer. We're digging into Austin Matthews' box office contract extension, set to make him the highest paid player in the NHL. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. We begin tonight at Queen's Park and the Ford government's controversial move to swap some parcels of land in the Greenbelt. Now it is all under the scrutiny of the RCMP. The provincial police confirming today it is passing along information to the Mounties to determine if an investigation is warranted. It comes a day after the housing minister's chief of staff resigned, and tonight there's amped up pressure on the minister himself to do the same. Lorenda Redicott begins our coverage tonight.
The Greenbelt land swap is now in the hands of the RCMP. It says it's looking into whether to officially launch an investigation. For months, that's what the Ontario Provincial Police said they were doing, though today said they passed along the file to the federal police force to avoid any perceived conflict of interest. They didn't say what that conflict might be. Today, CBC News obtained the resignation letter of the housing minister's chief of staff. In it, Ryan Amato said he didn't want to become a distraction from the government's work of building more homes. The Auditor General singled him out in her scathing report 2 weeks ago as the one lobbied by certain developers on what lands to take out of the Greenbelt. According to the AG, those developers stand to gain more than $8 billion. In Amato's letter to the Premier's office, he says recent public statements have unfairly depicted me and my role regarding the Greenbelt. I am confident that I have acted appropriately and that a fair and complete investigation would reach the same conclusion.
If Mr. Amato is saying that he may be is being unfairly bearing the brunt of this, he may be right.
All three opposition parties have called for the housing minister to step down, something the NDP leader repeated today.
The rot starts at the top. The premier needs to be held accountable. It sort of insults the intelligence of Ontarians to think that the premier and his minister knew nothing at all.
However, both Clark and Premier Ford deny they colluded with developers. Today, the Prime Minister was asked about the RCMP now looking into this.
I'm not going to comment on decisions that police agencies make.
But he did say this about opening up the Greenbelt to housing.
We don't think that the only solution is to build on protected lands.
NDP leader Marit Stiles wants the legislature recalled so the land swap can be reversed. But the one recommendation from the AG the government is not following is to take another look at the Greenbelt decision. Lorenda Redicott, CBC News, Toronto.
Over in Scarborough, a cyclist was the victim of a deadly hit and run this morning. Peel police had allegedly spoken to the suspected driver prior to the crash, and so the provincial watchdog for police has now been called in to investigate. Greg Ross explains what we know so far.
According to police, the body of a woman was discovered in this grassy area at the side of Airport Road just after 4:30 this morning.
Officers arrived on scene and located a female who was severely injured and unfortunately pronounced deceased on scene.
It quickly became apparent that she was the victim of a hit and run while riding a bicycle.
And we can confirm that she was on a purple mountain bike.
A short time later, police found the vehicle involved in the hit and run.
The vehicle did flee the scene. However, it has been located a short distance away from here. It's a 2018 Mazda 3 four-door, blue in color.
The car was badly damaged and had been abandoned about 3 kilometers away near Gorway Drive and Derry Road. Police say it was involved in another accident after the hit and run.
The vehicle proceeded eastbound on Thamesgate, where there was some sort of collision with whether it's a power box or a mailbox at a property on that roadway.
The Special Investigations Unit has now invoked its mandate. According to a press release from the SIU, a Peel police officer spoke to the driver of that car in a parking lot near Airport Road and Morningstar Drive earlier in the morning. When that officer went back to the cruiser to verify some information, the driver of that car fled the scene. Police are still looking for the suspect.
Based on some of the evidence that's been obtained at the scene, we are confident we know who the suspect is, but we're waiting to confirm that at this time.
Police have still not identified the victim in this hit and run, and it's not clear how old the woman was.
We are appealing to people in the area. If you were expecting a colleague to show up to work, a classmate that you know travels to work or school via bicycle, and she hasn't shown up, please give our Major Collision Bureau a call because we're looking to identify.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Mississauga.
A key development tonight for people stuck with an emergency on Toronto's subway system. Starting today, Rogers customers can call, text, and use the internet at a number of stations. Wireless service is now available at all stations between DuPont and Bloor-Yonge on Line 1, as well as from Kiel to Castlefranc on Line 2. In transit tunnels in the downtown core, service has also been extended. Currently, all riders, regardless of their provider, can make 911 calls, but today, Rogers announced what it calls more reliable service to 911 service for its riders. The company is expected to expand service throughout the subway system in the next 2 years. Cell service is the least of transit advocates' concern over in Scarborough, and tonight, people staged a mock funeral at Ellesmere Station, trying to draw attention to the out-of-commission Scarborough RT. It's been shuttered ever since a train derailment on the line last month. Tyler Cheese was there for us tonight.
We're out here because we're mourning the loss of a deep friend.
Candles, flowers, and transit riders dressed in black. It's a funeral for the Scarborough Rapid Transit line.
The SRT, Line 3, has been with us through thick and thin. It's run for 35 years, but a few weeks ago, it derailed unexpectedly. And now we're really we have this vigil going on because we want to launch an investigation into why this happened.
That derailment happened at Ellesmere Station on July 24th. A few days after that, the TTC said whether or not the line would reopen would depend on its investigation. At the time, the transit agency said that would take at least 3 weeks, but a spokesperson told CBC Tonight that there are still no updates on the status of the line. Shuttle buses are running to replace it, but many transit users say that's not good enough.
There's 35,000 people a day who depend on the RT. They cannot be left behind on shuttle buses and mixed traffic. The last thing we need to see is more people starting to drive because the transit service here isn't working. So we need to invest in it. This needs to be a priority yesterday.
Before the derailment, the RT was already scheduled to be decommissioned in November of this year. Initially, the TTC said it would replace the line with shuttle buses until a new subway extension opens. But that's 7 years away.
It's an emotional rally because we're seeing the end of an era when it comes to the Scarborough RT, and we also want to make sure that people here, communities here, families here have an option to be able to get to work, get to school, get around.
Since then, the transit agency agreed to install dedicated bus lanes to help riders get around faster. And at tonight's rally, TTC Riders is calling for other urgent transit solutions, including more funding from the province to help with Scarborough's transit needs. In a statement provided to CBC, the Ministry of Transportation says Metrolinx is working hard to deliver the Scarborough subway extension in a timely manner. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
A live look at Windsor, where a severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect. Environment Canada warning Toonie-size hail is possible, and you can see lots of lightning there in the sky. Now back in Toronto, just a risk of a thunderstorm overnight. Let's get right to Colette with the forecast. And Colette, today felt like more of an indoor activity kind of day.
Yeah, Chris, you know, a gray day today for sure across the GTA with wet conditions at times, but it was more soaking rains. In many cases we've been seeing in southwestern Ontario, rainfall warnings. You know, this is about the additional rain to come. And even though we get some breaks, there's some thunderstorms coming back in the forecast even into tomorrow, especially later in the day. So kind of an off and on thing, and special weather statements. Some of the areas just kind of on the outskirts of the rainfall warning. Daytime highs today. I mean, the heat just knocking on our door in southwestern Ontario. You almost were feeling it. Windsor up to 25, and that's after thunderstorms earlier, and then you got into some sunshine in the afternoon. And the other side of this particular feature into Ottawa, things were pretty mild as well, but in between where all the wet weather was and the cloud cover, different story. And speaking of a different story, like, look at that extreme heat, all part of this heat dome. And tomorrow, Windsor, you're likely to at least slide into a portion of that. But it's right along that boundary where we get the stronger winds because of the disparity in the temperatures there, really driving some winds, but also giving us all the unstable weather. So for the GTA tomorrow, it's mostly the cloud cover you'll notice, but beware, later on afternoon, late afternoon into the evening, some showers and thunderstorms are going to come back into our skies as well. Overnight 17, and then tomorrow that high, milder than today, Chris, up to 23.
All right, Colette, thanks very much. Controversial psychologist Jordan Peterson has been ordered to undergo social media training. An Ontario court has upheld an order by a regulatory body demanding he take a program on professionalism in public. Late today, CBC spoke with Peterson for his reaction to the ruling.
Don't bloody well lecture me, some dimwit judge with a liberal bias, lecturing me about taking responsibility for what I say. It's like, yeah, right. In what way have I not taken responsibility?
The University of Toronto professor emeritus shot to international fame with his books and lectures, as well as often divisive social media posts, especially about transgender people. The College of Psychologists says those statements border on professional misconduct. Peterson argues his political opinions are not under the college's purview, and he plans to appeal. Expect a big day at City Hall tomorrow. It'll be the new mayor's first big test. Olivia Chow's plan to fix the city's finances goes before executive committee. The plan includes a number of new taxes and fees to address the budget shortfall that's well over $1 billion. Ali Chiasson has more on what we should expect.
The city has to dig out of a big budget hole, $1.5 billion big. There's also $29.5 billion in unfunded capital needs over the next 10 years.
The current situation is dire. Over the next 10 years, we're looking at, in capital alone, $46.5 billion worth of need. Our reserves have $11 billion in them.
The city's budget chief, Councillor Shelley Carroll, takes the city's financial plan to committee tomorrow. They'll debate the proposed revenue tools, which include increasing the luxury home sales tax, vacant home tax, selling surplus land, increased parking fees, a commercial parking levy. But the biggie is asking the province to create a municipal sales tax. That could generate between $800 million to $1 billion annually. It will be a tough sell to constituents, let alone executive committee tomorrow, and eventually city council.
Well, anything to do with taxes becomes very difficult to sell. If you increase the municipal land transfer tax for properties over that sell for over $3 million, there's a constituency there that's not going to be happy. If you get rid of tax incentives for commercial and industrial properties, there's a constituency there that's not going to be happy. Raising property taxes, they're all very difficult, but they need to be done.
The municipal sales tax would have to be greenlit by the province, but Councillor Carroll's office is not trying to get ahead of themselves.
What's important is getting it through executive, and very quickly after that, council on September 6th.
At the Association of Municipalities conference yesterday, Ontario Finance Minister Peter Bethenfalvy touched on tax increases generally.
As you know, our government is not in favor of tax increases. There may be a time, not now.
Councillor Carroll didn't hear a hard no.
I hope that he'll be open-minded when we sit down, because what he said in his answer was we're concerned about affordability, and that is precisely the reason we're bringing forward the ideas in the long-term financial plan. We asked for this, we own this, we really need this now.
Ali Chiasson.
Major news for Leafs Nation tonight. Superstar Austin Matthews signing a 4-year contract extension to stay in the city past this upcoming season. The 25-year-old signing a monster deal this afternoon worth $53 million over 4 years and an average of $13.25 million per year. Matthews recorded 85 points last season with 40 goals and 45 assists. Currently, he's in the last of a 5-year deal, meaning the extension takes effect at the beginning of the 2024-25 season. And Matthews posted a message on social media saying he feels fortunate to continue this journey as a Maple Leaf in front of the best fans in hockey, and that he will do everything he can to help get the Leafs to the top of the mountain. Best fans in hockey, no kidding, and brutal sometimes as well. But today, people seem pretty pumped. So to dig more into this news, we've reached Leafs podcast host Steve Dangle. Hey there, Steve. I know that you were just playing hockey yourself. I assume you weren't playing with Austin Matthews tonight, but thanks for joining us on the program.
No, I just got demoted off his line. They got me on the second with John. So it's okay, though. I'm taking it all in stride.
Rough day for you, I guess, then, but a great day for Matthews and obviously for Leafs Nation as well. Finally able to exhale here a little bit. How major is this for the team?
Well, this is huge. I didn't think it was going to get done until after William Nylander's contract extension. And obviously, his words earlier today about just chill. I don't know why everyone's so focused on this. It actually did the opposite of making Leaf fans wanting to chill. This seemed to be a thing that was going to be even more distant after today. So to have this come down around dinner time was a pretty welcome surprise, I think, for a lot of Leafs Nation.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and you mentioned Nylander there. I mean, with such a massive payout for Matthews, I'm curious, how will that impact what talent the Leafs can afford kind of around him?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You've obviously committed to this player. John Tavares is the captain, and he's got a no-move clause. Mitch Marner was nominated for the Selke, and he's got a no-move clause. I don't understand, I'm not great at math, but I don't understand how they plan on giving William Nylander more money and expect for the team to remain competitive, or how they plan on even keeping him on the team. But, I think you take your victories when they come. Today was a victory. They locked up their best player to half a decade, and I think that's important.
Well, and talking about the team trying to stay competitive, I mean, we know that the organization has had a rough summer, some turbulence certainly, a new GM as well. Matthews today saying that he's determined to get the team to the top of the mountain. But what do you think? Is trying to keep the core together what the team needs, or would a change have better suited the Leafs?
Well, you should ask the last guy, Kyle Dubas. It's funny. He was so married to the core of this team, and why not? He put them together. He locked them up. And the moment he made it sound like he would be open to trading one of them, he was fired. So can they do it with this core? If getting outplayed by the Lightning but squeaking out a series win is a sign of improvement, then maybe. I mean, it's the NHL. The team I always go back to, the Washington Capitals, 2017, they won the President's Trophy. That was supposed to be the year they were going to win. They blew it in the second round against Pittsburgh, like always. Next year, when they were written off, they finally won. So that is the team that I cling on to as a Leaf fan.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people are tonight as well. All right, Steve, next time we talk to you, I want to do a deep dive into all that memorabilia behind you.
Yeah, and you should ask me questions about my dog, who was asking for pets and treats that entire interview.
Oh, love it. All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. Appreciate it. Meanwhile, Matthews' teammate, Captain John Tavares, was in Brampton tonight for the second annual All-Star Hockey Night. Tavares saying Matthews' growth as both a leader and a player make him a big asset to the team.
Obviously, hearing that news coming here today, that doesn't get better than that. I know how much he loves it here, and the conversations I've had with him, and really wanting to be here and continue to build and see this through and find our way to where we want to get to.
Tavares was there joining other high-profile players in a head-to-head game in support of the William Osler Health System Foundation. Leafs legends Wendell Clark and Doug Gilmour were also there as coaches. Proceeds from ticket sales will go towards building Brampton's second hospital. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back. Last word over to you tonight, Colette. And with tonight's rain in the forecast, a good reminder for drivers to be extra careful during the morning rush.
Yeah, that's the issue with this kind of rainfall. When we see it in low-lying areas, then it can really be pooling and ponding, and you don't want to drive through. If you're getting any kind of accumulation of water, you don't want to be driving through that. Some of the areas just saturated. I was showing you earlier in the show where we have the rainfall warnings and the special weather statements. So still, those areas of southwestern Ontario to really watch. We're going to see the temperatures, though. Hey, they're going to rebound at least after many cases. The temps were 5 to 7 degrees below seasonal for daytime highs today. So they start to creep back up for the next couple of days, more than creep up for Windsor. But the weekend, things dip again. And again, not as dramatic the dip for you in southwestern Ontario, but we'll certainly be noticing it, especially with the cooler mornings back towards the GTA. So, yeah, a lot of cloud cover here. There have been some of these embedded thunderstorms at times, and that's over the same areas. That's why we've seen some of the locally more than 50 millimeters of rainfall. Thursday, I just don't want you to get kind of the sense that, oh, everything's over with, because there'll be quite a bit of cloud cover, maybe some fog in the morning as well. But then that line of storms will go through tomorrow evening. Some of it lingers in the overnight. And then Friday, some clouds left behind, but Friday will improve. It's going to take some time. Then we'll get those clouds eroding, and we'll get some sunshine later in the day. And that's going to help those temperatures to pop up in Toronto. Rainfall accumulation, just looking at some of the additional amounts into tomorrow morning in some areas where it's still another 15 to 20 millimeters. But then we're adding on top of that amount that's going to be going through with the storms tomorrow later in the day. Temperatures overnight tonight, you're staying mild there in Windsor, almost a 10-degree difference from that overnight low in Ottawa. And there we go, Toronto 23 for tomorrow afternoon. Evening storms will clear out eventually on Friday. Just be patient, and then that will help us to a high of 26. Then a cold front goes through. Some showers lingering into early Saturday morning, and then some chillier days and some chillier nights coming our way as well, Chris.
Hanging on for Friday. All right, thanks, Colette. And that is our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I want to give you another live look at Windsor right now, where they remain under a severe thunderstorm warning, so be careful there. Obviously, lots of lightning as we are looking live at this picture. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.